Good morning, students. We are doing from your first flight test book, chapter number 6, The 100 Dresses, part 2, written by El Basso Esther. In our yesterday's class, we read that Miss Mason reads out to her class, room number 13, a letter from Jen Petronsky, that is Vanda's father, announcing to the class and the school that Vanda and her brother Jake have left the school, as now they would be moving to a big city where nobody would be making fun of their funny names. Now, when this letter was read in the everyone in the class became solemn, and then Maddie was altogether unhappy. She was guilty. She felt bad that she could have stood for Wanda and should have talked to Peggy to stop making fun of her. So she was not able to concentrate in her class and was wondering what should be done. She wanted to talk to Peggy if something can be done, but Peggy was all involved in doing with his chapters, and Maddie was disturbed. She was not able to concentrate. She was feeling worse. She felt that she's a coward who could not stand for Wanda. She felt herself in the position of Wanda, that how she, also being poor, can be a subject of such teasing or bullying. But then she was quiet about things, and she was not able to concentrate, and she was not able to understand what she should do. But somewhere she was feeling very sad, she was feeling unhappy, and she was feeling guilty that maybe because of the fun that had the students were making of her, that was the reason that Wanda had to go. She wished if she could go to Wanda's place and announce to her that all her 100 dresses was beautiful. Let's continue with the line by line explanation of the chapter from page number 75. When school was dismissed in the afternoon, Peggy said with pretended casualness, "Hey, let's go and see if that kid has left town or not." So when the school was over, the students were to leave for home. Peggy and Maddie were also leaving for home. Peggy, trying to pretend to be very careless in her attitude, says to Maddie that let's go and check out on Wanda if she has left the town or not. So Peggy had had the same idea. Maddie glowed. Peg was really all right. Maddie glowed means got hopeful. So somewhere Peggy was also disturbed with that letter coming from Wanda's father. So she was just trying to pretend that she was not affected, but somewhere really she was also affected. And when Peggy says that let's go and check out on Wanda if she's left, Maddie glowed because she was hopeful, and Peggy was really all right. The two girls hurried out of the building, up the street towards Walking Heights, the part of town that was such a forbidden air on this kind of a November afternoon, drizzly, damp, and dismal. So both the girls hurried out of the school building and they headed to the street that was Walking Heights, so as to go to that part of the area that is the Walking Heights where Wanda lives. And this Walking Heights is a place where that is having a forbidden air that is very bad altogether, a dismal look, and drizzly, that it was raining lightly, and damp and dismal means wet and sad, here expressing a state of hopelessness. So this area was basically for people who were poor people. So they headed to Walking Heights. "Well, at least," said Peggy gruffly, that is roughly. "I never did call her a foreigner or make fun of her name. I never thought she had the sense to know we were making fun of her anyway." Now Peggy had felt that at least I was not making fun of her name. The other kids might be, but I always used to question on her 100 dresses and shoes, but never made fun of her name. And moreover, Wanda was such a stupid girl who might never knew that she was a subject of fun for most of the students. I thought she was too dumb, that is, she was altogether foolish girl. And Guy, look how she can draw. Guy means an exclamatory word, that is an expression of surprise, that how such a dumb girl who never knew that all the students used to make fun of her was such a good artist when it comes to drawing. So it is an expression of surprise at the talent of Wanda. Maddie could say nothing. All she hoped was that they would find Wanda. Now, Maddie was a quiet listener. She was listening to Peggy. She did not say anything. She just wished that Wanda had not left the town. She wanted to tell her that they were sorry that they had picked on her and how wonderful the whole school thought she was, and please not to move away and everybody would be nice. So Maddie was having some other things going in her mind. She just wanted to apologize for that the students picked on her, they treated her unfairly, unkindly, and moreover she wanted to tell Wanda that the whole school thought she was good, her drawings were very good, and then to convince her that she should not leave our school or the city, and that Maddie would make sure that the other students may behave well with her. She and Peggy would fight anybody who was not nice, and Maddie was making plans that if they get to Wanda's house and meet Wanda, they are going to promise her that Peggy and she herself, Maddie herself, is going to make sure that nobody misbehaves with her. The two girls hurried on. They hoped to get to the top of the hill before dark, and so they were picking up good speed too, so that they can reach to Boggins Height before it was dark. I think that's where the Petronskis live, said Maddie, pointing to a little white house. So there was one white house, and Maddie points out to that I suppose this might be the house of Wanda. Wisp of old grass stuck up here and there along the pathway like thin kittens. So there were tiny bunches of grasses that were growing along the pathway that led to Wanda's house. So the narrator says that they resembled like tiny kittens. The house and its sparse little yard looked shabby but clean. So the house and the yard, they were looking shabby, but then it was clean. It reminded Maddie of Wanda's one dress, her faded blue cotton dress, shabby but clean. And then that image reminded Maddie that Wanda also used to wear a faded dress, though it was clean, but then it had shrinks, or it was not properly ironed. There was not a sign of life about the house. Peggy knocked firmly on the door, but there was no answer. She and Maddie went around to the backyard and knocked there. Still, there was no answer. So Peggy and Maddie knocked on the front door. Then they went to the backyard and knocked over there. But then there was no answer, and there was no sign of life. That is, family was not there. That is, the family had left for the big city. There was no doubt about it. The Petronskis were gone. How could they ever make amends? So Peggy and Maddie were looking around the house and knocking the door, but then there was no response, and it was understood that Petronsky family had gone for the big city. How could they ever make amends? Now there was no scope of doing correction to the mistakes they have done. They turned slowly and made their way back down the hill. So they're moving down the Boggins Height, and going back to their homes. Well, anyway, said Peggy, she's gone now. So what can we do? Besides, when I was asking her about all her dresses, she probably was getting good ideas for her drawings. She might not even have won the contest otherwise. So Peggy says to Maddie that now she's gone, so we cannot do anything about things. And moreover, when we were asking, or we were making fun of Wanda, and we were questioning about the 100 dresses, how many dresses she has, we were actually giving her motivation. We were an inspiration to the drawings, to the ideas for her drawings. She might not even have won the contest. Otherwise, this drawing and coloring contest, she could not have won. It was we who were the reason behind her imagination and her creativity. Maddie turned this idea carefully over in her head, for if there were anything in it, she would not have to feel so badly. So Maddie realized that maybe Peggy is right, and maybe this is because of their own, this is because of uh, the fun they had made, that Wanda was inspired to create such a drawing. So she now did not feel that bad. But that night she could not get to sleep. She couldn't sleep at all. She thought about Wanda and her faded blue dress and the little house she had lived in. So she's continuously thinking about Wanda and her dress and the house where she used to live every bit. So she was not able to take good rest, or she was not able to sleep at all. And she thought of the glowing pictures those 100 dresses made, all lined up in the classroom. At last, Maddie sat up in the bed and pressed her forehead tight in her hands and really thought. And she's continuously thinking of all the beautiful drawings that were displayed in the room 13 and all the 100 dresses all lined up in the classroom. She started wondering and thinking about those, and she was not able to sleep. So she sits on her bed and she presses her forehead in her hands, and she's really thought, that is, she was thinking deeply. This was the hardest thinking she had ever done, and this was the toughest time for her, toughest thinking that she has done. After a long time, she reached an important conclusion. So her mind is not at rest. The drawings of Wanda herself, Wanda faded blue dress, making fun of Wanda's house, everything was somewhere in her mind that was making her restless. And she sat up and she's continuously thinking about Wanda, and then she makes a decision for herself. What decision? She was never going to stand by and say nothing again. So she's never going to stand by the wrong, and she would make sure that she says things that matter. She's not going to be quiet about things. If she ever heard anybody picking on someone because they were funny looking or because they had strange names, she would speak up. So she was determined that now she's going to make sure that if anyone is ill treated or unfairly treated or criticized in because of the funny or peculiar name, or because of the language they speak, or any other reason, then she is going to make sure that she stands up and is not dumb about things. She does not ignore and stands up and voice her opinion, even if it meant losing Peggy's friendship. Now she was ready to stake her friendship with Peggy because she realized that Peggy was at wrong. She had no way of making things right with Wanda, but from now on she would never make anybody else that unhappy again. Now she realized that I cannot improve my things with Wanda. What has went wrong, but now she is going to make sure that she does not make anyone unhappy by teasing in their name, and nobody has to leave the school because of the strange or peculiar name they have.